If you've been struggling with consistency, then this video is for you, because honestly, the cheat code to success is to be consistent. More specifically, we need to be consistent with our content, and I know that's something that you are struggling with. So I have put together this masterclass just for you, so that way you can have a backup plan for the times when life just starts lifing. So make sure that you watch this entire video, because I am going to give you strategies that work, that will keep you consistent and showing up on whatever platform it is that you choose. And I'm giving you real action steps to take. So watch this entire video and leave your thoughts in the comments. Let me know how helpful this was to you. Share this with somebody else that you know can benefit from being consistent with their content. And at the end, if you are super interested in joining the consistency challenge, then you can check out Bomb CEO by going to bombceo.com, or just enjoy the free gems in the video. All right, let's get into it. What is up? And welcome to our pre-recorded version of this week's Bomb CEO session. So today, ironically enough, we are talking about contingency for consistency. More specifically, how to show up when life gets messy. Or, it doesn't have to get messy. It could just get busy, right? Or a little bit overly productive, where you may not have time to be the best consistent self that you aim to be. And so in the past, I know that you've struggled with consistency in many areas, not just content, but obviously we know that in April we're talking about content. So specifically, this session is going to be speaking about content consistency and Instagram content consistency. But honestly, you can use the contingency for consistency in all areas of your life and business, because as you can see or hear right now, I am not on the screen. We're not having this live. This is actually a contingency plan for our session. Now, I could have just canceled our session, but I decided not to. In the past, I've done something similar where when I've traveled, I've had the session, whether it was in Mexico by the pool, whether it was in Dubai at 3 a.m. Dubaian time. I don't know, Dubai time, maybe. But the session was held, even though it wasn't plan A, I had to resort to plan B, which is what having a contingency plan is all about. And in this session, we are talking all about it, because it's super easy to post when you feel on top of the world, when you're feeling cute, maybe your hair is done, maybe you have an adrenaline rush, something really good just happened, you had a really great sales day or something, you're on top of the world. But then when you get overwhelmed or tired, or you just feel a little off, right? Especially as women, we have times where we just feel off for the month. It knocks you out of whack. And so this session is all about creating your safety net, which is truly going to be a system for staying visible without burning out. So the key idea that I want to talk about today is that you don't need perfect conditions to stay consistent. You just need a strong plan B. And let me just say this, me sharing this in this session doesn't mean that I am 100% perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. And there's certain areas in this presentation that actually speak to me as well. Okay. There's elements of this presentation that I've done in the past when I was super consistent. And so I was able to reference those things. And then I was also able to reference just what I know based off of resources that I have, whether it's mentors, books, people, things like that, to put it into a power play for us. So one thing I want you to remember as we talk about content is that perfect content doesn't win. Present content does. So the reason why I said this is because you can over edit something. You can tweak the hook for something 5 times. You can tweak a caption 20 times. It doesn't matter. Perfect content doesn't win. And what's funny is times where I have just been consistent and posted, there'll be a video that I just threw together or a post that I just threw together, and I put it up there, and that ends up being the thing that blew up, which is hilarious to me. But what I realized is it was a result of consistently showing up instead of focusing on perfection and overthinking about that piece of content. Okay. So what's funny is we know that consistency wins, but for some reason we still let our minds get the best of us instead of using our minds to be the power tool that will push us through. So, for example, we know that our audience learns to expect us, right? So when we think about TV shows that we watch, the reason we know Power used to come on originally Sunday nights, and if you have your Stars premium account or whatever, you would know and you would realize that it came on like as soon as it striked, I think it was like 12:01 or something, the new episode will premiere, even though they would say you had to wait until 8 or 9 p.m. It really came out early. And so the people who are on top of it, they would watch it at that time, or the people who waited until the premiere time at 8 or 9 p.m. or whatever, they would tune in on Sundays every single time. When I used to watch this show called Scandal when I was in college, we would even have watch parties that we would schedule to watch Scandal. The way that we were able to do that is because we knew when the show was coming out. And one of the things recently that has grinded my gears is when they take those mid-season breaks. But even then, they announce the mid-season break. So hey, June and July, there's not going to be any Paradise episodes. We're coming back in August, or there's not going to be any Power episodes. We're coming back in September. They announced that because they know that it's going to throw off their consistency per se, and they need to let their audience be aware. So what would happen if Power never told us they were taking a mid-season break for 2 months? We would tune in on Sunday nights expecting to see Power, and then we wouldn't see anything. We would tune in maybe the second week and not see anything again. And maybe somebody, the right person who's really, really locked in, would try again a third week, and then they won't see Power because they're on a mid-season break for 8 weeks. And then they'll be like, I guess Power isn't coming out. Like, I'm just going to go watch something else. And then maybe they start watching, I don't know, Empire or something, because that was like Power's competitor back then. Maybe they start watching Empire and they fall in love with Empire. And because Empire had the Brazilian seasons that just came back to back to back to back, they end up being an Empire fan or an Empire girly or whatever. And then Power comes out after that 8-week break and they don't even realize it because now they're locked in with Empire. Or worse, they don't find anything and they decide that they're just going to do something else with their time. The same is what your audience thinks of you and your brand, right? So you want to think about your brand and your brand's content like if it were a TV show. If you posted at a certain cadence, your audience will start to expect that cadence, and your audience will start to come and check for you at said time, said day. And now this is not me saying that you have to be a super prickler like every time at 1 o'clock. You can't post at 1:05 or you can't post at 2. No, I'm not saying that. It doesn't have to be as strict, but definitely if you're saying that you're going to stick to certain days, sticking to those certain days so that way people know, hey, on Tuesdays, I check after work and I can expect to see a post from this brand or that brand or whatever. And they're not thrown off by your inconsistency. And if you do need to take an overextended break, let's say you need time to monitor to your health or family or whatever, announce that, right? A recent example of this is I follow a creator named Modern Millie, and she recently had a baby. This whole entire time, nobody knew she was pregnant. She announced her pregnancy, I want to say maybe like a week or two ago. She was already 9 months. And basically, she shared that announcement for the sole purpose of telling people that she was going to be on maternity leave for the next 3 months. But she also said she had prepped some content already and that her team would be posting the content in her absence. But in the case that something goes left and she's not showing up as usual, it's because, hey, I just had a baby or I'm about to have a baby. And then when I have a baby, I'm really not going to be checking in with y'all. So if something goes left, I don't know what could go left. Maybe a team member doesn't do their job or they get let go or whatever. she's still setting the tone that she's not going to be here, because people became used to seeing her YouTube videos once every week and her Instagram post, I want to say once every day, every 5 days. That's the same respect that you need to have for your brand, right? Because your audience learns to expect you. The algorithm also rewards consistency, and if you want a deeper insight into what I mean by this, go to our previous session. Even though the session wasn't about content per se, we started off the first 20 to 25 minutes talking about why we're doing this challenge, why we're posting 30 days in a row, and then we're going to do a second set of 30 days. And I shared a video that broke it down in detail at the beginning of that session. So if you do nothing else, go watch the beginning of that session. It's 20 to 25 minutes, and that will explain the whole algorithm consistency thing specifically for Instagram, okay? This is not just a theory. That video provides some science behind it. And last but not least, Atomic Habits. It's about building habits, not being perfect, right? It's about building that muscle. So, a highlight of what we talked about in the last session is that posting daily for 30 days trains the algorithm. So Instagram starts to learn your brand, your audience, and content types, allowing it to target smarter after the first set of 30 days. Similar to running ads, usually you have to collect a certain amount of data before retargeting, and the data is collected by you running the ad for a certain period of time, and then retargeting is done to people who showed interest or people who actually engage with that ad. Very similar format to how they treat organic content. So even if your content isn't fire, consistency tells the algorithm that you're serious, okay? So what I want you to keep in mind is that you're building momentum. You're not worried about creating the best perfect content per se, because that will cause you to delay, which it already has. But what I did say in the previous session is content needs to be intentional. So it may not be perfect, perfectly edited, perfectly shot, but the momentum that you build, the more you edit, the more you shoot, the more hooks you test out, uh, the better your content will get. You'll naturally start to boop, 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 do certain things, right? An example of this is when I take pictures, I'm really fast with editing pictures now. When I first downloaded Facetune, that's the app I use to edit pictures. If you want to edit your pictures, use Facetune. I also have a video on my YouTube channel, which YouTube is not pushing out right now. Uh, and the thumbnail says the only tools you need. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So just go to my recent videos, click that. There's a portion that talks about content creation tools, period. Lighting, cameras, all of that. But I use Facetune to edit. And when I first downloaded Facetune, I want to say it took me like 50 minutes, maybe even more, to edit a picture. Now, let's say I take a picture for one of my friends or my husband, who doesn't pay me when he takes my pictures, but he needs to because I take them and then I edit them. If I take a picture of his and he's like, oh, I want to post this on my story, I'll be like, wait. Let me fix the lighting or let me do something real quick. And I'll open up Facetune and I can edit it probably in less than like 7 minutes. Honestly, probably less than 5. And then that picture is edited. But that's a result of me constantly editing photos. And that's what allowed me to get better at it. The same thing goes for editing videos or anything like that. You'll become better at it the more you post consistently, because you develop momentum. So if you keep delaying posts because you're like, oh, I don't know this, or I don't know how to do that, or da da da. You don't know what you don't actually do, right? So you got to ride the bike in order to become a fast bike rider. So now that you understand that, let's get into what a contingency plan actually is. More specifically, what a content contingency plan is, right? So if you plan correctly, you will succeed. However, plan failure is what creates the inconsistency that you're experiencing right now. So what we want to do is we want to have a contingency plan, which is basically a system of pre-prepared, brand aligned content you can use when life gets hectic or super busy, right? And so the idea is it's like a backup. It's a backup that helps you stay consistent. So think about it as being like plan B content that's intentional. It's it's not filler content. I don't want you to mistake it. Filler content is something completely different, which I'll explain the difference in a second. But plan B content is just a lighter lift than what your original heavy lift content would have been. Here's a great example. When you are, and for some people, you're not consistent in this area either, so it's going to be hilarious. But when you are aiming to lose weight or lose body fat or just get healthier, period, maybe you say that you're going to go to the gym every day, well, not every day, 4 times a week for the next 3 months. Maybe one day you get off of work later than you imagined. You get off of your 9 to 5 later, or there's a bad accident on the highway and you get home late and your gym closes super early. By the time you get there, you're going to be able to walk in, tie your shoes, and it's time for you to go, right? And so because you experienced that delay of traffic and you got home super late, you know that you're not going to be able to make it to the gym. Do you A, decide to order pizza and watch a movie? Or do you B, go for a walk because sunset is beautiful? Maybe do a video on YouTube, like a workout video, 30-minute video on YouTube in your living room. What do? Right? Do you do A, eat and sit on the couch? Or do you do B, go for a nice sunset walk or watch a 30-minute exercise? And when I say watch, I mean actually do the exercises in the video, obviously, right? Which one do you do? Obviously, I would hope that you would say, I'll go for a sunset walk for an hour, take my baby with me or go with my significant other, whatever. Or I'll watch a 30-minute video and put on my workout clothes still and get down and busy in the living room, right? Because my schedule is tight and I know that the gym is out of the equation today. That doesn't mean that I'm not working out today. Same thing goes for if you do, maybe you had a really long, stressful day at work and you're like, I just don't feel like leaving the house. Do sit ups, push ups as you watch some rewarding content on YouTube, maybe your favorite creator or something, or a favorite show of yours. You do push ups and sit ups throughout the whole show. You walk in place, you go up and down your stairs, like for the full 30 to 45-minute vlog, right? You think about ways that you can still be active and you don't eat pizza, you still eat the healthy meal that you should have eaten. Same thing goes for if you were supposed to be cooking healthy for 30 days straight and maybe you didn't realize that you ran out of salmon and the salmon that you got in the fridge is frozen. It's going to take too long to freeze it. But there's a salad place down the street, or there's a Chick-fil-A down the street that you can get a salad with some grilled chicken on it. Do you get that, or do you go to Chick-fil-A and do you get the fried chicken tenders with all the sauces, right? We want to make wise decisions, but those wise decisions are intentional decisions, aka a contingency plan, versus you just throwing it away and having filler like pizza or having filler like sitting on the couch and just watching Netflix and doing absolutely nothing, right? That is the same idea for your content. So, like I said, filler content and contingency content is not the same. Filler content is random, last minute, off message type of post. Intentional contingency content is on brand because your contingency plan is intentional. It's evergreen. This is the key right here. It's evergreen because while your plan A may be super trendy or super aligned with a time sensitive topic or thing, because it's a contingency content piece, it needs to be evergreen. And I'll explain why in a second. And then your contingency content is also purpose driven, okay? So we're not just posting just to post. That's what filler content is. And back in the day, people used to say, oh, post filler content to make your feed look cute. Don't do that. You can post contingency content and make your feed look cute. But filler content, just don't do it. I remember back in the day, people would post like a random picture of a telephone. And I'm guilty of this because when I had my shoe boutique, filler content was in. And I would post like a random picture of this or that to just make my feed look good. It doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore, okay? So how does your contingency post compare to what your plan A content would have been? Your plan A content is, it could be something like face to camera video breaking down 3 tips for skincare, 3 tips for web design, or something like that. Where maybe you didn't have a chance to record that piece today. So your plan B is, oh, maybe you have B-roll of you doing your skincare routine. Maybe you have B-roll of you picking up different skincare products. And then you do a voiceover with one strong tip or one strong insight, right? Both keep you present, but only one requires setup. Same thing for the web design example. Maybe you have B-roll of you on a laptop designing a website, or maybe not, right? And the angle that it's taken from, you can't even tell, but you use that B-roll and then you do a voiceover of your number one, no, what's the word? Your number one, I have vacation brain. I can't think of words right now, but non-negotiable, your number one non-negotiable when it comes to designing your clients' websites. And you do a voiceover explaining that. I'm doing a voiceover right now, technically, by holding a microphone and recording this. So you don't need to have your face on there. You can just do voiceover content as your contingency backup content. So before I get into how to build your contingency content, let's talk a little bit about what makes great contingency content, okay? Because I need you to reframe how you think about contingency content without thinking about it like it's just something that's, oh, it's whatever I can post, and also without guilt, right? So, your main content takes time to film. A lot of time it takes time for you to, or energy for you to be camera ready, time for you to write a thoughtful long caption, editing really well, uploading, optimizing. But maybe today you're not feeling your best. You're behind schedule or you got hit with an emergency. Okay, cool. Let's create some contingency content that's evergreen, brand aligned, quick to post, and still valuable to your audience. The main difference is contingency content is still strategic, but it's lightweight. So think of your plan A content as your deep content, and then plan B content is your quick content. Both are on brand, intentional, and value driven, but plan A content, which is your main content, is where you really get in your bag. Contingency content, you can get in your bag, but you're just in a lighter weight bag. You're in a smaller bag. You're in a mini purse, right? And so contingency doesn't mean sloppy. It just means simplified. So here's an example of this. Let's say your main post is a reel showing your full morning routine as a CEO with voiceover, music, timing, multiple angles, and a deep caption explaining your whole process. You might not feel like that today. Or maybe your camera broke. Your battery was dead. I don't know, your memory card ran out of space. I don't know, something happens and you need a plan B. You go in your contingency vault, which has a carousel with 3 CEO mindset reminders, or a voiceover of you in your workspace or office, with B-roll of your workspace or office. Or, maybe you create a quote that aligns with whatever the messages that you were going to share in the actual CEO morning routine that you were going to do. And you design that on Canva, right? That doesn't take you showing up or even taking a lot of time, especially if you go back to the last session, I talked about templating everything. So you will have templates for your carousels and posts. So if you're like, oh, boy, baby, today, I don't even have time to edit that morning routine that I filmed. That's going to take me 3 hours and it's already 9 p.m. and I need to get this up. Let me go into my carousel templates and let me put together, a carousel that has the same message that I can share right now. Okay? Now let's get into building your vault. Now that we know what contingency content is and what it's not, let's talk about how we can build our contingency vault. Okay? So remember, you're doing this on top of planning your main content. So when you sit down to plan your main content, you're going to think, what are some alternative ideas to this? And you can do this for your backup platform as well, because if you're doing the harder version of this challenge, you've picked a secondary platform that you've chosen your own cadence to, and this works for that as well. Okay. And so I'll show you an example of what this looks like for YouTube, just in case that's your backup, or any backup that you have. But step one to building your contingency content vault is you want to identify evergreen content. Okay. So identify evergreen topics per content pillars. Now, in the next session, I'm going to dispel the whole content pillars thing, and we're going to talk about content buckets. But for right now, content pillars is what you know. So, per your content pillars, you are going to identify evergreen topics for them. Evergreen means timeless content that can still be relevant next month or even next year. Whereas your plan A content may be aligned to a certain trend or something happening right now. So maybe, I don't know who's popping right now. Dochi's popping right now. Maybe you have a skincare brand and you're saying Dochi inspired skincare routine or something because she has a song blowing up. Well, next year, Dochi may not be top female performer, right? Because we've seen it happen. Glorilla had her year last year. Lotto had her year a year or two ago. Every year it's somebody different. So next year, Doechii may not be number one. So maybe you don't want to make that your evergreen content talking about Doechii. Maybe you say, okay, well, what is it about Doechii's skincare routine that I was going to highlight? Is it that she has chocolate, smooth skin? Okay, let me write that down. Is it that she has a glow to her? Is it that she's confident and doesn't give a flip about what anybody says? Boom, I'm writing these things down. Okay, what's some plan B content I can create around these three general themes that align with my content pillars that doesn't mention Doechii or doesn't require heavy editing or whatever. I can create something like that, right? So think about timeless or relevant topics that will still be relevant next month or next year, okay? So let's say you are Chloe, right? Chloe has a nail tech brand where she helps them with airbrushing. Let's say her content pillars are showcasing her nail expertise, her nail tech expertise, behind the scenes of a day in the life of a nail tech, transformation and proof that her airbrush techniques that when people buy her products, they're able to master. And let's say her fourth pillar was just relatable personality type content, right? These are random examples, by the way. Don't take this as like solid content pillars. But I mean, if you want to, whatever. Anyway, so for her first pillar of expertise, her main post may be a full airbrush tutorial with a voiceover explaining each step she's doing. Her contingency post could be a reel showing off her favorite airbrush tool with a text overlay that says my number one game-changing tool for cleaner blends, and it says read the caption. And then her caption talks about how to use the tool, blah, 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 right? Instead of her having to record the step-by-step 10-step tutorial and then edit it and put trending music and da da da, maybe she doesn't have time to edit it today. Maybe her airbrush tool ran out of paint and she can't record it today, but she needs to post because she waited last minute to record it, which we'll talk about. But you should be batching your content, but one challenge at a time, right? But her airbrush runs out of airbrush paint, but she could still show off the airbrush tool. She could hold it up in the reel. She could even show like a picture of what it looks like once the airbrush is on nails, because she has those pictures. And then she just says read the caption and she writes it in her caption, okay? For her second pillar, which is, what was it, behind the scenes. Let's say her main post is a day in the life of a nail tech that's booked out with 3 bridal clients for the day. Let's say she forgot her camera at home. Or let's say, unfortunately, all bridal clients don't want to be recorded for some reason, right? Her contingency post could be maybe a clip of her wiping down her station and prepping for her nail tech clients. And then she could just explain what she's doing and how she's prepping for those bridal clients for the day. Either in a voiceover or in the caption or whatever, right? She could even do a picture of her workstation, and maybe she decides to highlight her affiliate tools, or maybe she just puts a quote over it. with her picture of her, I said workplace station, her picture of her salon in the background. The third pillar, transformation and proof. Her main post may be a client transformation with before and after photos and a testimonial. Maybe the pictures are trash that she was expecting from that client or whatever, or videos, whatever. She could then maybe post pictures that she has from maybe one back in the day when she was first starting off with airbrushing, and one recent airbrush set that she did. And she can say January 2017 Chloe versus March 2025 Chloe, growth, right? Last but not least, her personality, relatable type of content. Maybe she wants to show how she balances, I don't know, working a 9 to 5 and being a nail tech. That's not true, but just random example. But things don't go her way and she doesn't get the shot she's supposed to get for it or whatever, or her day ends up being uneventful or something. I don't know. She could literally get a B-roll of her starting her day, making coffee, sipping coffee or whatever, and she could be saying, prepping for a day of 9 to 5 grind and 3 clients. I don't know. Something random like that. But not random, but something like that is a random idea that I have. But it's intentional because it's still speaking to nail techs. All of these are intentional because it's still speaking to her expertise or her journey or something like that, even though it's a contingency post. Step number 2 is you're then going to, after you identify specific pillars and things, even though I already gave you Chloe's examples, step 2 is you'll build out 1 to 2 contingency posts per topic. So what you want to do is start batch creating these things. Okay, so create your Canva graphics, create your B-roll, use your carousel templates, set up your carousels, whatever you need to do to have them prepped and ready. You want to keep your contingency posts, aka your plan B posts, pre-written, pre-edited, and ready to go in a folder. So that way, if anything happens, you can boop, boop. You can do a folder on your phone. You can do a folder on Google Drive. You can do a folder on a project management tool, like Asana or Monday.com, Trello, something like that, Notion even, whatever you want. But you got to keep these things ready to go, locked and loaded, point blank, period. So for me, one of the things that I do too is I just record B-roll and take pictures of almost everything, right? So if I'm out at a really nice restaurant, I'm taking pictures of the food, the drinks, or whatever. If I'm in a beautiful place by a beach or something, I'm taking a video walking, da da da. I have so much B-roll in my phone that I can honestly post 30 days straight B-roll. But that wouldn't be smart of me because that would be a whole bunch of like B-roll content that's not super strategic for this challenge. But I have enough B-roll to do that. You want to have enough B-roll to do that, okay? Step number 3 is then you want to organize your vault. So you need to create a simple system for doing this, nothing extra. You can use folders where you label it by pillar or by energy level. Maybe you have certain no face days. Maybe you have no edit required, low effort, quick captions. I don't know. Just create folders, tags, columns, depending on whatever you're using, and organize them some way, somehow. You need to create a contingency vault and you need to have it labeled because if it's just there, it's hard. I actually used Coda a lot. So if you go into the bomb.com resource library, you will see a bunch of content videos, and in there I have a link to Coda and you can set it up for free. I use Coda and I used to jot all of my ideas, my content ideas in there. And I would even write out the caption and stuff like that. And I would just keep them locked and loaded. I did that for contingency content and my main content. Okay. So keep a document of backup captions and hook templates. Now, a bonus tip for you, if you really want to be on your A game, is batch at least 1 new contingency post every week. So you can start off with, let's say, 5 contingency posts. And if you can do more, start off with as many as you can. But once you have that starting lineup, a bonus tip is to add at least one new contingency post every single week. Because in 6 weeks, you can have 6 to 10 pieces of content, right? And that's I got you content that makes you look consistent even when your life says something else. All right? So, organize it smart, like I said already. You can do it by topic, by type, by energy level, whatever you want, whatever makes sense for you. And so we went through Chloe's examples already. Oh, here's some other evergreen backup ideas. If you're in the beauty space, these are some ideas. You can screenshot this, save them. But what I told you, how to think about it with the Dolce example, is how you want to think about all your contingency content. And B-rolling is going to save your life. B-rolling and taking high quality pictures of everything. Okay? Even when it's like, it looks crazy. I do that all the time. If you watch my Instagram stories, what I'll do on my business page is I will go into Instagram Reels and I'll piece together like 3 to 5 pieces of footage, and then I'll download it and post it on my story. Those those pieces of footage are typically taken, and I'm like, I don't really know what it's gonna look like. I'm just taking this. I do use the right settings though. I will say that on my camera. But then I piece it together and I'm like, oh, this looks cool. And then when I look at it, I'm like, dang, I could turn this into a reel, right? So when we were traveling here, I took like a random video. Well, let me not say random. I took an intentional video of me grabbing the luggage, my husband grabbing the luggage. I think I took like a B-roll walking, showing the Puerto Rico sign when we landed in Puerto Rico to get on a cruise. And I also took B-roll walking on a cruise, showing like Virgin Voyages, me going to the check-in desk, me getting on the boat. That's all B-roll. Literally, that's all loading up my contingency vault. So now that I'm about to sit down and plan my content, now that my internet is working, I can actually edit those things faster on my laptop or whatever. And if for some reason, I'm out of plan A ideas, I can go into my contingency vault of all the things I recorded and I can use that for plan B content, okay? So the goal here is it's better to pivot than to disappear. All right? So show up light, not perfect. Show up light, not perfect. So what that means is if you are about to miss a day, or if you already missed a day and you're like, dang, I'm about to miss a day again, that means that it's about to become a ripple effect. And you missing a day on Tuesday cause you to miss a day on Wednesday. It's going to cause you to miss a day today on Thursday. We don't want that. So when you feel yourself about to miss a day, post something simple, lean into your contingency vault so that you can stay visible. Remember the TV show analogy. Don't ghost your audience. Remind them that you're still here. A lot of us are ghosts on Instagram specifically, right? And maybe even on your backup platform. I'm not a ghost anymore on YouTube, but I am a ghost to Instagram, and I've been a ghost for a couple of months. Even on my personal Instagram, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I post my story a lot, and I have traction on there. I just don't post on my feed, but I need to. I'm a ghost. So if I were to, one thing I want you to keep in mind is when you start showing back up, remember that you're a ghost, so you can't expect people to just hop on your content. We're not Beyonce. Not saying that you want to be. I don't want to be, but we're not Beyonce. We're not Rihanna. So just when we pop up out of nowhere, doesn't mean that people are going to flock to us because we're not those people, right? Even big entrepreneurs, quote unquote, if they go gone for months, sometimes when they show up, it still takes time for them to build that momentum back up. Okay. So done with purpose is better than perfect with delay. You don't need full glam. You don't need full glam. You don't need big energy or groundbreaking tips every single day. You just need to remember that you can pivot, you can lean on your contingency vault, and real CEOs pivot, they adapt, and their audience still feels connected, okay? So Next steps for you, and I know I said I'm going to show you the example. I still am. Next steps for you is, one, start building your contingency content vault this week. When you sit down to plan your content for this week, create your contingency vault. Try to knock as many contingency pieces out as you can, but do a minimum of 5 to start off. And then remember, the bonus step is to add at least one contingency piece every week. Now, if you create 5 contingency pieces to start off and you run out of all 5 this week, that's ridiculous, because that means you've been plan Bing all week. That's crazy. We don't want to do that, okay? We want to have plan A's and plan B's when we need them. So don't just fall back on your contingency content because you want to be lazy, okay? We still need to make an effort. And so the idea is, every session that we have in April is for us to learn something new about the content creation process on Instagram and to apply it to the next week coming up. So now we're improving, which goes back to the momentum building I talked about. So in the future, we're going to learn editing techniques. You're going to be able to say, oh, well, now I can see why the post I did 2 weeks ago performed okay, but it would have performed better if I had this edit. Now that I learned this edit, I'm going to layer it on top of what I've already been doing because of my momentum, and I feel more confident to show up with the edit. And now it's going to knock it out of the park. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to build on top of each other. So start building your content contingency vault this week. Add 5 to 7 backups per content pillar. Use yellow in your tracker when you need to post plan B. So if you're like, what the heck are you talking about, use yellow in your tracker? All right, let's pull it up real quick. All right, so on your tracker, there's a row where you put green, red, or yellow based on if you posted. So these drop downs that are on the calendar, you put intentionally posted, contingently posted, or didn't post at all. Now you know what the contingently posted means. So now you can put yellow if you need to put yellow in that space. But like I said, our goal is to not have to use all of our contingency content. Okay, now let me show you the example that I was talking about with my backup plan. So this is what my backup for YouTube looks like. So for your secondary platform, you want to do the same thing to keep yourself consistent. Our goal is to post twice a week on YouTube. And so for every video that I have planned, I actually have a backup. And so this backup is based off of our contingency vault that we built. So if you look at the video I posted last week on YouTube, it's actually a Bomb CEO session that we just cleaned up a little bit. I added an intro that took me a minute, literally 1 minute to record. I added it to the beginning, and then I uploaded that to YouTube. So we did the same thing for the full month of April. As you can see, this is supposed to be the video on April 7th. I think we're behind a day. So this is supposed to be a video on April 9th, and which is my anniversary, by the way. And our backup is contingency for consistency. So this very thing that I'm recording right now is the backup. Isn't that cool? All right. So those are your next steps. All in all, final reminder, done with purpose is better than done perfectly, because nobody's perfect unless you're God, okay? And none of us are God on here, okay? Keep showing up. You are building something real, okay? Remember, you can do anything that you put your mind to. I believe in you, and let's keep growing together. Ciao. See you soon. I told you it was going to be so juicy. I hope that you got a lot of gems from this. Drop what your number one takeaway was from this session, this masterclass that you got completely for free on YouTube. And if you want to go deeper, if you want more sessions like this, or even if you want access to the entire content consistency challenge and all the tools that we have for you, then you definitely want to make sure that you check out bombceo.com or join the newsletter and tap in with me. I send out newsletters twice a week, where one, I am giving you some step-by-step, play-by-play tips, and then the other one, I'm giving you behind the scenes, raw, transparent, real CEO talk. Whatever you choose to do, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. Go over on Instagram and follow me at The Brand Hustler, because I share gems over there too. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye, Hustle Babe. Peace.